So this is a very common position. Almost any skill program you go through will cover. The defensive recovery position, a floor to feet position, basically a position that should tactically get your officer off the ground and back to their feet as safe and practical as possible. However, one thing I want to stress that I believe is different and that is a misnomer in a lot of teaching today is instructors place the priority on getting to your feet here. And I disagree. The first priority is protecting your weapon, and the second priority is getting back into that fight at whatever level you can get to tactically have an advantage. So in this example, Matt Erm is on the ground. If you notice, his right elbow and his right hip are coming together, protecting his gun. That does not allow the bad guy an opportunity to grab the gun and make this a weapon retention situation. When Matt hits the ground, he will assume this position. If he has space from the perpetrator, suspect, bad person, whatever you want to call him in your training environment, he will post up, come up on his hand, and evaluate. Again, the goal isn't necessarily to get to his feet as fast as possible, it's to get back in the fight. So from here, if Matt has space, he will post up, shoot his right leg through, come to a kneeling position, again evaluating the threats present, and if possible, back to his feet, creating distance, and then he can transition to any of the tools on his belt. What happens if the environment changes? So Matt's on the ground, he's protecting his gun, the suspect backs away, Matt starts to post up, and the bad guy decides to re-engage. Well, Matt should be able to know that he could transition to a taser, pepper spray, or any of his other tools from this position. But many times we will not instruct our students on how to do this, practice how to do it, and make sure mentally they understand when they would do it. The same thing applies when Matt posts up to his kneeling position. He evaluates. From here, we know he can get to anything on his belt, but if we practice transitioning to that in our defensive tactics training environment, if we practice, what if the guy decides he's done fighting on the ground and he wants to pull a gun himself? Does Matt know that he's capable of drawing his firearm, giving commands, and delivering rounds if necessary, or transitioning and coming all the way up to his feet depending on the circumstances? Right now, he's unarmed. By all video standards, media standards, professional standards, he has no weapons in his hands. So going to lethal force should not be the first and only option our officers train. If it's appropriate, for sure we will use it, but we also need to make sure we're able to use lesser means of force. Because quite honestly, if Matt can just get to his feet here without engaging him and then transition on his feet, we're all better off. The reality is the biggest mental stresses that go into performance or going into the unknown is not our physical skills, it's knowing the why and the what if things fail. So you must train that in your defensive tactics classrooms and skill training sessions so that on the street, the officers know exactly what they're supposed to do next.